Coming up on Bundesliga Weekly, the sun is out, it's Easter, with a nutmeg from Jadon Sancho. Our tactical analysis shows why he's the most coveted of midfielders. With a spring in his step, Leipzig's central dynamo Kevin Campbell, shielding the backline, bossing the midfield, and finding the net. Bundesliga icon Jurgen Klinsmann in China on the Legends Tour, promoting football as it's meant to be. But first, with the tightest title challenge in years going down to the wire, Bayern München are certainly not counting their chickens before they're hatched.
The business end of the season. 5 games to go, and total concentration now required. No slacking off. You must be ever ready.
We are hungry.
Hungry for a 7th straight title. And if they're nervous, in true Bayern style, they're not showing it. Last weekend they picked Düsseldorf apart, with Kingsley Coman leading the way.
He scored very important 2 goals in the first half, so he helped us to make a big step in this game, and we're very happy that we have him in our squad.
Coman's one cool customer, whether he's celebrating or scoring.
Kimmich pulls back here for Coman! Excellent goal for Bayern.
With his pace and technique, the 22-year-old France international can exploit the smallest of gaps. And he's really making his mark now in Munich. A second brace in 6 games, and he's certainly not the only one in fine fettle. Bayern are back to their free-flowing best, where they can make it look all so easy. At Düsseldorf, they added 4 more goals to their potential title-winning tally.
We did a good job and obviously want to keep it going.
It wasn't all good news. Mats Hummels picked up a thigh injury, but should be back soon. Manuel Neuer is sidelined a bit longer after straining a calf muscle. The Germany number 1 now has his sights set on the penultimate match day.
I think the Leipzig game is a realistic target. In 2 weeks I should be up to speed again in training.
On the upside, Franck Ribéry is back in team training, as is Corentin Tolisso, who's been out since last September. Bayern will need all available bodies for the upcoming visit of Bremen, still unbeaten in 2019, with Max Kruse leading their charge on Europe.
We're going to Munich to win. It's the hardest away game of the season, but if we execute our game plan, we've a real chance of coming away with something.
Bremen next, and Dortmund on their minds, still just the 1 point behind them.
We are hungry, we want to win the championship, and it's necessary to score goals to win the games. We need the points. Dortmund is a tough competitor, and so we know what to do, but we are hungry.
1 win at a time, towards the only acceptable conclusion. Second place doesn't come naturally to Bayern.
Dortmund's number 1, Roman Bürki, knows they have to dig in deep, as they often have this season. And he's leading by example from the back with exemplary performances.
Enter Roman Bürki, Dortmund's last line of defence. A man for whom football's about more than just taking part.
There's no point playing in the Bundesliga unless you want to win. That's always the aim, and ultimately it's about winning the title.
Saying that is one thing, doing it quite another. But Bürki is giving it his best shot in Dortmund's bid for the main prize.
Equaliser here. Oh, what a save! And again from Roman Bürki. That's tremendous goalkeeping. That's the sort of goalkeeping that wins matches. Roman Bürki, the hero for Dortmund.
A contender for save or saves of the season, right at the finish against Mainz, seeing Dortmund over the line to a 2-1 win and keeping them hot on Bayern's heels at the top.
I saw Uja was going to get his head on it and stepped forward to present a bigger obstacle. Fortunately, the ball came right at me, twice. And there was another bit of luck when it dropped into my hands before hitting the line. I had a look, and it hadn't gone over.
The 28-year-old Swiss custodian has been in great form this season, and notably more consistent than he was in the previous campaign. That's down to a tireless program of self-improvement, mental coaching included.
That's doing me good at the moment, working with the mental coach. As a keeper, you've got the added pressure of knowing a mistake can put the ball straight in the back of the net. And the whole world's laughing at you. All the social media these days doesn't help either. Everyone gets to see every slip-up.
We don't have to talk about Birki, really. He knows himself that that is a mistake.
That's his only one of the season so far, and he didn't let it get to him. Keep calm and carry on. The odd mistake is inevitable, and you have to learn to deal with it.
As a youngster, I always chucked the ball away or sulked when I lost, and shouted at my teammates. Obviously, that's something I've had to work on, maintaining self-control.
He'll be entitled to let it temporarily slip if Dortmund do pit Bayern to the Meisterschale. Thanks to Roman Bürki, they're still just a point behind.
Jadon Sancho is on fire. Top of the league chart for assists and brace-bagging match winner last time out against Mainz.
Beautiful stuff from Sancho!
With that, at 19 years and 19 days old, he became the youngest player ever to rack up 11 goals in the Bundesliga. But what exactly makes Dortmund's team sensation so unstoppable? Let's run the analysis and find out.
Sancho's opener against Mainz. First off, it's a display of his rocket-propelled acceleration. The speed at which he hits 30 kilometres an hour could give a few cars a run for their money. 2 metres gained on his opponent in the space of 20, giving him the freedom for the finish.
And that's the kind of finish that you've come to expect from Jadon Sancho.
Jadon Sancho, fleet of foot and swift of thought. Let's take another look at that deadlock-breaking goal. As soon as Mario Götze gets the ball, Sancho's off, anticipating where Götze will play it. His marker takes around half a second to react, already at a disadvantage, and with very little chance of reeling in this sprint specialist. Sancho has superb positional awareness, and the timing to make the most of it. Here against Mainz again, he starts out wide. Careful to stay onside, he makes himself available, but the pass doesn't come. Next pass, again, he's not used. The chance is as good as gone. Another attack, with Sancho this time shifting into the central striking role, actively tagging his opponent, but staying behind him, maintaining the gap. From here, he can either sprint to the far post or step further into the middle. He opts for the latter and reaps the reward.
There is Sancho! And there is the second goal!
Jadon Sancho, a wizard on the ball, as this scene illustrates perfectly. Once again, it's born of his positional play, keeping his distance from the central defender and a close eye on the unfolding attack. His opponent is torn between watching the ball or watching Sancho. And here again, it's watch the ball or watch Sancho. And then, it's already too late. There's little you can do against such sheer individual class.
Terrific from the teenager once again!
The complete Jadon Sancho against Mönchengladbach. Blistering acceleration, perfect positioning in the back of the defender. Left or right, the choice is his. And the deadly cross shot. 8 of his 11 goals have been planted into one or other corner of the net. Outpacing the defender, he opens a small scoring window at the far post. For him, it's big enough. Pace, positional sense, and simply stunning skill. It all adds up to Jadon Sancho.
Leipzig's unsung hero, Kevin Campbell, operates in front of the Bundesliga's meanest defence. His energy is a vital component as they push for third spot.
He has his own distinctive look and his own distinctive style. Kevin Campbell, fighter, strategist, playmaker, pulling the strings in the middle for Leipzig to great effect. I basically try to move things forward from deep, get on the ball a lot and tee up the four guys in front of me in particular. That's my biggest strength these days.
The 28-year-old Slovenia international is one of the most experienced operators in this young Leipzig side. As the link-up man between defence and attack, he's a key player in their renewed bid for a place on the Champions League stage.
I think we've the most clean sheets and fewest goals conceded this season, with the youngest team in the Bundesliga as well. That's pretty impressive.
All achieved with no little help from Kevin Campbell, a tireless workhorse who also distributes the ball with elegance and precision. 5 assists to his name so far this season. Campbell's a player of many parts.
If I can score one myself, all the better, though it doesn't often happen. We've got other players for that.
It happened last weekend, paving the way to victory over Wolfsburg. And a fine strike it was too.
Campbell's curling shots! Oh, brilliant! His 50th league game in a Leipzig jersey. With the captain's armband as well, and now a stunning goal from Kevin Campbell.
His second of the campaign. The first was a while back against Nuremberg on matchday 7.
Kevin Campbell, fine finish and Leipzig lead on 3 minutes. Some way to mark a 100th Bundesliga appearance. Kevin Campbell for RB Leipzig.
One man who thinks he could be scoring more is coach Ralf Rangnick.
He's always telling me I've a good shot and should have a crack from distance more often. I've had a few that went close.
And they can't all end up in the back of the net. At any rate, Campbell's priority is to serve the team in other areas. Not that he objects to scoring.
Obviously, I'd love to bag a goal or two more, but the main thing's going out there and putting in my best, playing for the team.
As he likely will again this weekend at Mönchengladbach, the next stop on his side's intended road to the Champions League. Kevin Campbell is giving his all to that end. Leipzig's midfield motor, happy to let others shine.
Give it up for the unsung overachievers of the season. Fortuna Düsseldorf, safe for another year in the Bundesliga with 5 games to spare.
It seemed an unlikely outcome as the new boys struggled early on, but with a wily old fox in the dugout and a fearless approach on the pitch, they've pulled it off. At the end of last season, Düsseldorf was celebrating their top-flight return after 5 years away. Fortuna fever swept the city into extended party mode. But no one at the club was under any illusions as to the task in hand now, and by early December they were propping up the table with a meagre 9 points from 14 games. It was time to show their true mettle.
This is the real test of a team, when the players and coaches all have to pull together without kicking up a fuss and just work to get the team moving in the right direction again.
Far from falling apart, they formed an even stronger bond in adversity. The first seeds of revival had already been planted in November, when they earned a memorable draw in Munich.
Dodi Lukebakio, what a moment! Oh, unbelievable!
We played attacking football, obviously from a solid defensive foundation. That would have surprised a lot of people, and since then, the general perception of Fortuna Düsseldorf has been much more positive.
So too has the general perception of Dodi Lukebakio. The on-loan Belgian forward talent scored a hat-trick in the 3-3 draw with Bayern.
He's very fast, so if you play the ball, then he just has to run after it, and then it's easy to make a goal. But yeah, you have to still to finish it. So that's a very strong point from him to run in depth and to make the goal. So.
Having acquired a taste for big-time success, Düsseldorf promptly went one better, handing Dortmund their first league defeat of the season in some style.
Oh, one of the goals of the season, surely that is!
Since the winter break, they've gone from strength to strength. 9 wins in their last 15 games. Only Bayern and Leipzig can top that. A remarkable improvement, but the mindset for it was always there.
It's been a bumpy ride. At one stage, we lost 6 in a row. But we kept our heads, and that's been as important as anything.
A tale for the football romantics. Underdogs standing firm to defy the odds and move mountains in the process. Fortuna Düsseldorf, class of 2018-19.
Barely arrived, and already a Stuttgart fan's favourite.
Ozan Kabak, what a day for him! Suddenly the teenager becomes a goal machine.
Ozan Kabak adding fresh impetus to the Swabians' relegation battle.
Ozan Kabak again!
A defender who's recently been showing the forwards the way.
I was getting 10 to 15 goals a season at youth and under-18 level. I never scored as a professional for Galatasaray, but here I've managed 2 in one game. We're creating chances and I aim to score more.
Signed over the winter break from Turkey's record champions Galatasaray, Kabak has hit the ground running in Germany. A fixture from the off at the heart of the Stuttgart defence. He made history on only his 6th top-flight outing, as the youngest Turkish player ever to bag a Bundesliga brace.
That was a big moment personally. My first 2 senior goals with my mother, father and all the family at the stadium. Hopefully there's more to come.
Of course, the defensive duties come first. Equally adept on the ground and in the air, Kabak has a 58% success rate one-on-one. All that's missing now are some much-needed points against the drop.
The current situation's not too rosy. We've squandered a few points, to be honest, but we've 5 more games to achieve our only goal, Bundesliga survival.
The fans are behind them, and Ozan Kabak, voted Bundesliga Rookie of the Month for March.
This award's a real boost for me. Thanks to everyone for voting, and I'll do all I can to keep playing well.
That's just what struggling Stuttgart want to hear.
Ozan Kabak!
Striking out for new horizons. Jürgen Klinsmann in China. Fervent fans, memorable moments, cultural insights. The Bundesliga Legends Tour, eastward bound.
Beijing, home to almost 22 million people. The Chinese capital is one of the biggest cities on the planet, and global football icon Jürgen Klinsmann is right in the thick of it on Bundesliga business. The World Cup winning former Bayern and Stuttgart star is here to spread the word on the German game to a vast and already willing audience.
The Bundesliga here in Asia, in different countries, has a huge positive reputation. And I think it will only be growing, with more television coverage and more online coverage. So the market itself is enormously important for everyone in Europe.
That's borne out even on his trip to the Great Wall of China. The blonde bomber, as the fans know him here, doesn't go unrecognised for long. It's all quite an experience.
I'm enormously impressed by the interest into the Bundesliga here in China. So I learned, from the fans themselves, how big the Bundesliga is to them.
Klinsmann's here to help make it even bigger. Between a raft of media engagements in Beijing, he meets enthusiastic fans at every turn. 6 Bundesliga clubs have already been to China, Bayern and Dortmund among them. For the former Germany national team coach, that's very much the way to go.
The more Bundesliga teams come over and maybe play friendly games or do anything of work together, the more fruitful it will be for both sides. So I think it's a win-win situation.
This season's tense title tussle between Bayern and Dortmund is further fanning the Bundesliga fascination here. So, what's the experts' take on the outcome?
They're both big teams, big clubs. So to have a rivalry like that is very special. It kind of is a little bit similar to Real Madrid and Barcelona. So hopefully it goes all the way till the end, and then we'll see.
No definitive prognosis on that one from Jürgen Klinsmann. One thing he is certain about, however, is the long-distance devotion of the league's Chinese fans.
When you feel that and when you see the people and when you get an idea, okay, they are real fans, then it's really kind of cool to tour a place like that. And so I enjoyed every single day.
It's been a productive trip, and Klinsmann departs in the knowledge the Bundesliga looks best set to secure an ever stronger foothold in China.
He's no spring chicken. Makoto Hasebe is showing no signs of age. His tireless performances are spearheading the Eagles' quest for Champions League qualification.
Frankfurt are flying high, and he's one of the senior pilots in the cockpit. Makoto Hasebe, the midfield organiser, helping steer Eintracht ever closer to their first tilt at the Champions League.
The team are playing very well at the moment. We're hearing a lot of talk about trophies and qualifying for the Champions League.
At 35, Hasebe is a veritable Bundesliga institution. Coming to the end of his 12th season in Germany, what's the key to his enduring success?
You have to be adaptable. I can only keep playing in the Bundesliga with that flexibility. And I've played in a lot of different positions down the years.
An uncanny reader of the game with the technique to back it up. Hasebe is Frankfurt's deep-lying linchpin. Deployed in the past out wide at both ends of the park and in a central holding role, he's now at the heart of a three-man defence.
When we're on the ball, Makoto's extremely good at opening up play from the back. He's got an incredible eye for the direct forward pass, getting the ball through the opposition lines. That's very impressive, and so is his defensive game. With his own early warning system, he'll push right up, anticipating where the ball's going to go.
Fujieda, a 2.5-hour drive southwest of Tokyo, Hasebe's hometown. Even at primary school, his early mentor, Iwayo Uishi, had an inkling that young Makoto was destined to go far in football.
As a young boy, Hasebe was already happy to take charge of things. He was the boss. The other kids were always saying that.
Under Germany legend Guido Buchwald, Hasebe took his first senior steps with Urawa Red Diamonds. A full Japan international by the time he joined Wolfsburg in early 2008, he finished the following season on a title-winning high. A 9-year wait for the next silverware ended with Frankfurt's DFB Cup success last season. Now they have the Champions League in their sights.
We need to stay grounded and focused. If we can keep playing the way we have been, I'm confident we'll find ourselves in a good place at the end of the season.
Frankfurt's remarkable resurgence over the past few years is down in no small part to him, Japan's Bundesliga legend Makoto Hasebe.
Bayern continue to lead Dortmund by a single point at the top of the table with 5 games to go. Leipzig look firmly set to finish third, while Frankfurt and Gladbach tough it out for that final Champions League berth. Hoffenheim are up to 6th and on course for Europe. Down below, the last 3 teams are considerably off the pace now. With Hanover firmly rooted to the foot of the table, Nuremberg and Stuttgart still have the chance to escape direct relegation via the playoff spot. Schalke and Augsburg look relatively safe. Hertha coach Paul Dardai is stepping down at the end of the season after 4.5 years at the helm. Both parties felt a change was the right move forward for the club. Matchday 30 is Easter weekend, so there's no game on Friday night. Saturday kicks off with leaders Bayern hosting Bremen, while Leverkusen play Nuremberg. Augsburg face Stuttgart in a South German clash, and Mainz meet Düsseldorf. The early evening game is Gladbach against Leipzig in the battle for a top 4 spot, followed by an Easter late game, Schalke versus Hoffenheim. On Sunday, Freiburg face Dortmund, and Hertha host Hanover, and on Easter Monday evening, Wolfsburg meet Frankfurt. Happy Easter, Frankfurt fans! Striker Luka Jovic has joined the club on a permanent basis until June 2023, making history as the youngest player to score 5 goals in one Bundesliga game. Here's to many more. Until next time, auf Wiedersehen.